In Part 5, I explored how the climate web is currently set up to facilitate access to potentially actionable knowledge for our internal climate change storytelling and ultimately our decision-making. New information is added to the climate web every day, often including new headings, new index entries, and more extracted ideas and graphics. The final Part 6 of this video explores how the climate web can be customized to the actionable knowledge and storytelling needs of individuals and individual audiences. The building block analogy has been helpful in exploring the basic concepts of the climate web, and what Part 6 discusses is the ability of any individual or audience to use the climate web to construct their own actionable knowledge structures, whether simple or extraordinarily complex, as shown in this Lego Mona Lisa. What makes the brain software so useful in this regard is that with the climate web, it is not necessary to disassemble one actionable knowledge structure in order to build another. The same actionable knowledge blocks can form part of as many structures as we want without interfering with each other. The most common approach to customized actionable knowledge structures in the climate web is doorways to climate insight. This extremely simple doorway organizes a number of news topic headings, allowing a user to track all of these topics via a single URL that delivers the user right to this doorway. From there, you can explore all of these topics in seconds. This might be something a journalist would use, for example, to keep track of widely varying climate change media coverage that they are interested in. Similarly, a sample doorway that keeps track of the various websites a user wants to regularly access. A doorway that pulls together the key climate news stories for a given month. The options to organize all kinds of materials in this kind of simple way are endless. Or a doorway providing access to the work of a wide range of climate experts. Most climate web doorways are more complicated, as shown here, although there is no need to be limited to this structure. This doorway to the topic of climate engineering, for example, illustrates key arguments on the topic, points you to key ideas and graphics, selected reports and news, relevant headings and index entries, relevant websites, and great videos and other resources. You can explore the topic of climate engineering on this single screen, including by simply hovering your mouse over individual thumbnails. But you can also click through these individual thoughts to access other materials associated with the headings and with the index entries. And you can do this for all of the different doorways that I'm going to show you, even though I'm not going to stop and show you individual thumbnails for each of those doorways. This doorway explores the topic of systemic risk when it comes to climate change, a topic of growing importance, for example, to investors. With the climate web, we're also not limited to this doorway for systemic risk. We can easily structure a Systemic Risk 101 doorway, 201 doorway, and a 301 doorway, each responding to the actionable knowledge needs of different user groups. And we can do that for literally any climate change topic, including the general topic of business climate risk, or the evolving field of climate fiction, or cli-fi, or the implications of climate change for the wine industry, or a doorway exploring the relationship between climate change and hurricanes, or a doorway for easily exploring and understanding the well-known children's trust litigation. Then there are other kinds of doorways. This one pulls together the work of a specific workshop, keeping all of the key information from that workshop readily accessible, while simultaneously allowing that information to become part of other actionable knowledge materials in the climate web. Another example is a doorway focused on the relationship of a single state to climate change, in this case Oregon, including the impacts on Oregon, the policies of Oregon, and a whole variety of arguments and supporting materials. This doorway is user-specific, organizing resources specific to the needs of an individual user. And through a single URL, that user can jump to this doorway instantly and then have ready access to all of these different sources of information. This very different doorway delivers an actual course curriculum for a course I'm teaching at George Washington University on climate change mitigation. All of the readings are organized here, as is all of the information that students might want to access for their research projects in the class. The doorway certainly doesn't do the work for the students, but makes it possible for the students to spend more of their time thinking and analyzing rather than spending their time searching for materials on Google. It's worth noting that the Climate Web doorways facilitate the teaching of climate change in a truly cross-disciplinary manner that really does break down the disciplinary silos that we're constantly talking about, or at the very least allows you to cross into as many silos as you wish. The academic world talks a lot about this, but it has proven very difficult to implement. The Climate Web makes it possible. In furtherance of the idea of customized actionable knowledge, any doorway or other collection of climate information in the Climate Web can be displayed on any website, while offering a fully live doorway into the Climate Web from your website. As a last example of customization potentials, any subset of the Climate Web can be copied and used to populate a knowledge base located on a user's desktop, using the desktop version of the Brain software. The desktop software is a very powerful knowledge management system and is a great option for personal or corporate knowledge management applications. If your knowledge management system includes climate change, seeding it with material extracted from the Climate Web can save you hundreds or even thousands of hours. All of the options I've described here can be replicated and adapted to any scale, allowing thousands of users or more to build and access their own actionable knowledge structures using the Climate Web, while also retaining the ability to investigate the entire pile of actionable knowledge blocks in the Climate Web. It truly is a different way of thinking about actionable climate knowledge and accessing actionable climate knowledge, and opens up entirely new ways to advance climate change decision-making. I'll wrap up by bringing you back to the front door of the Climate Web. It's a very simple interface, but as we've seen, offers you an entry to almost infinite climate knowledge. And through the Climate Web's index, you can explore the entire topic of climate change in a way impossible anywhere else. Further explore the Climate Web's YouTube channel, or visit the Climate Web website for much more specific information on how to take full advantage of the Climate Web and how we can help you do so. You can even jump directly into the open access Climate Web at the address shown here. And thanks for listening.